People say you can't build muscle naturally these days. Today, I'll show you why that's wrong, what it really takes, and the mindset that separates the winners from the quitters. By the end of this episode, you'll know the truth about natural bodybuilding and how to actually build muscle without any shortcuts. And just a quick credibility check for myself. I've lost 110 pounds, that's almost 50 kg. I've stepped on stage and delivered a very lean physique. I've also placed in bodybuilding competitions twice. Let's not talk about the first time. I'm a competitive natural bodybuilder. I'm looking to be competitive. I'm looking to grow more muscle. I'm looking to build a better physique. I am in the trenches with you guys and girls to try and get better. I'm also a coach and a personal trainer and have been for almost 10 years. So what does it actually take to build muscle? That's naturally, of course. So first off, we need to look at the long-term consistency. When we're building muscle, we need to think in years, maybe even decades, not an 8-week program. Okay, it's gonna take a long time and you need to commit and you need to be okay with this. This is where I would say tip number one comes in: patience. Yes, you can hit the genetic lottery and you can be one of those guys that is just naturally dense, full of muscle with the peakest of biceps and the most luscious of quad sweeps going, and you just pop out the womb and you don't have a weak point. For the majority of you watching this right now, you're probably not gonna be that guy. You're not that guy. I'm not that guy. I do not have the craziest genetics. I've had to work my ass off for every single piece of physique development that I've ever had. So leading on, when we look at building muscle, yes, we know about progressive overload. You've probably been so sick and tired of hearing it. Yes, we know that mechanical tension drives muscle building. We need to work smarter and we need to work harder. But let's kind of ball this into some principles, shall we? What we need to do is we need to work hard enough to elicit growth in our body, but we need to recover like absolute kings and queens. So we need to make sure that recovery is in the best place possible and that we're working very hard in the gym and we're doing enough sets or volume to elicit growth and a response. Now, this should be tracked in some form of way other than what you see in the mirror. Okay, take some measurements, do some weight scales, take physique shots in good lighting, may I add, in the same place consistently for months on end. Or get an outside perspective, send it to a coach. A lot of coaches, including myself, will probably have a look at your physique and tell you the no BS answer. And getting fresh eyes on your physique can make a big difference. We also look at fatigue management. It leaks into recovery. It's a big buzzword out at the moment as well. I don't really like the way it's being used, but we don't want to overtrain. I normally mean junk volume or junk sets, where you're just exhausting the body to the point where it can no longer recover, but you're not actually getting any more out of it. Or that your intensity isn't high enough to trigger growth and you end up getting something like tendonitis in your elbow or knees or hips or back because your form's shit, as well as, I don't know, like lack of sleep, 10 pints, dominoes. You get where I'm going with that. We need to look at nutrition as fuel. You are an athlete. If you're trying to build muscle, if you're trying to compete in natural bodybuilding, you have to have an athlete's mindset. Now, is it okay to treat yourself every so often? Yes. Do I believe in over-restrictive diets in the off-season? No. You need to have some flexibility. You need to have an understanding that not everything is on or off the table and that you should be able to judgment call what you can or can't have. You need to have an aspect of humanity to your life, because if you can't do this for the long term, you'll never actually achieve the physique that you want. So it's about hitting the basics consistently. Good quality nutrition, good amounts of fiber, good amount of protein, good quality of protein as well. The carbs is going to be the one that you're going to play with the most depending on what phase you're in, and fats should always be cemented and only tailored down really during a prep cycle. We want to make sure that the fats and hormones are in a good position. This shouldn't really move too much. Carbohydrates is going to be the primary kind of driver of growth and performance, so I would always shift carbs the most. Protein, fats, fiber shouldn't move too much. Performance markers, whether you're logging on an app, logging on a logbook, whether you are even just noticing that main key indicator lifts are going up, even if like your bench, deadlift and squat is going up, that's a very good indicator that you're building muscle and getting stronger. Now, we do know if you put on too much additional weight, you can get like a false reading. You put 20 kilos of body weight on, you're probably going to be able to move more bench. There's a reason strong men and powerlifters look the way they do. The biggest thing I could go into without getting too much into the nitty-gritties of training and volume and training splits and nutrition and protein amounts and all the rest of it, because that's a whole nother video by itself. It's just practicing patience, practicing longevity, practicing that this is not going to get you to your end goal within a month of doing this, or 6 months, or a year. It's going to take a few years at least. Building muscle naturally is a long-term process. There are no shortcuts. Now, I'm approaching 33, so I've had a few influences over the time. When I begun with, it was friends, colleagues, people who are older than me, maybe a couple of former competitors, maybe some people that were competing, they were in my gym that I admire their physiques. As it's gone on, I've started to look more online for my influences as I changed environments, gyms, so on and so forth, and my goals changed as well. I look up at some of the top natural bodybuilders at the moment for advice, influence, inspiration, motivation, whatever you might call it. The likes of AJ Morris, Steve Hall, Adam Powell, even my former coach, Elliot Gibson, winning his WNBF Pro card the other week was fantastic to watch and gives me inspiration to be that I could do the same in the future, which is one of my goals. Now, I'm going to move on to some myths. Some people might think that, oh, natural bodybuilding doesn't exist and that it's all fake natty. There is a lot of testing out there. I personally did a polygraph in the WNBF. I know a lot of professionals that are, I think they're blood or urine tested, out of season, out of competition as well. Most winners are also urine tested. So the status and the procedures and the systems for this are getting better and better. And even over this last year, 2025, as recording this, guys have been caught out and been stripped of titles and banned for lifetime competing in actual federations. So I think that's unfair. There's also the case of everyone who is looking good or in any remote way in shape is, well, they must be on drugs. This can normally come from a negative standpoint of view, maybe some limiting self-beliefs. This is not true at all. I know lots of people that are all competitive natural bodybuilders that absolutely look fantastic. Both my show days, there were buckets of people in shape and we were all natural and all tested. So when you paint everyone with the same brush like that, you are limiting your self-belief on what is actually possible for yourself. And I believe a lot more is possible for most people, and even for myself. A lot of people might think that bodybuilding is extreme, or only the extremes will allow you to grow. I don't believe this. I believe that the middle ground over a long period of time done very consistency will lead to greater growth long term. And in my experience, that is what I've seen work well for me as well. Another one is the genetics card. They just got lucky, they got the genetics lottery. Now, we discussed earlier, there is an aspect of luck to do with genetics. Yes, you can have them, but you're still gonna have to work your ass off to get in shape, build the muscle, get lean. And yeah, you might come up on show day when there's a genetic freak that pops up who's about 19, 20, 21 years old, he's in the juniors and he takes the overall. I've seen it happen. There's nothing wrong with this. This is just humans. So saying that, oh, I don't have the genetics, I don't have the genetics, I still place second and third, I will place first, I will win overalls, but it will take time and I might have to take a different route to someone else, and that's okay. So I think you need to understand, like, what you're saying might not be incorrect, but it's not the thing that's actually stopping you. If you feel like you're struggling on knowing when to cut or when to bulk or how to train properly, then that's what I do with my coaching clients inside the Power Up Project. There'll be a link in the description below if you're interested. I want to go into a little bit of my personal experience. Two things are great with social media: engagement and interaction, building communities around it. It is great to see other people do well, to take advice, to see people helping each other out and showing support. But there's a flip side of that, the toxic negativity. There is the doom scrolling factor, the dopamine hit, there's the comparison. There's also a case of pictures don't show the whole story. You could be there in person watching a show and the person can look very different. Normally it's the photos don't do the person justice a lot of the time. So I want to go into a few tips. Social media can be a great tool and I am a big believer in it. I like to try and get into communities and environments that are positive, that share tips and advice, but don't sugarcoat anything. I also think it can be a big distraction, especially when you're in the gym. So I put my phone on do not disturb and allow myself to focus on just being present, working out. In my own progress, I have experienced a lot of self-doubt, but I'm still progressing. I'm still building, still trying to grow, still trying to become better. Now, yeah, I did all right in shows last year, but I was aiming for that first place. The biggest reminder I could probably tell you from some of the tips that I've had in my lifetime is comparison is the thief of joy. Play your own game. Couple of closing tips. Natural bodybuilding has taught me so much. It has taught me patience, resilience, work ethic. It has taught me that you cannot do this by yourself, that you need help. But it's also taught me what I do on the stage, in the gym, how I conduct and act affects the rest of my life, all the other aspects. It has taught me a lot of life lessons because what happens in bodybuilding applies in life. So stay patient, stay focused, build your body and mindset as one together. Subscribe, share, stay locked in, keep growing. Winners are made in the long term. Think in decades, not weeks.